What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode on this channel. I'm Deacon Maynard, your commentator, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name's Michael Clark. I'm an endurance athlete who specializes in cross country, the 3K and the 5K on the track. I've represented GB on 3 occasions and England on 5 occasions. As well as that, I also have the age group record for the 5K for a 16-year-old. As well as that, I have the under 18 3K record as well as of 7:59. So yeah, pretty good athlete for my age and yeah, excited to be on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining this. I'm going to go over a few of what you just said, including your county and
Mm.
national performances. Starting
Yep.
off, looking back to cross country season, um, one of my first memories of watching you, it's quite recent actually, it was the Liverpool Cross Challenge, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but you won that. Um,
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
And it was quite a dramatic finish to say the least with you and Rab Johnson, Alex Lennon.
Yeah.
So you left that very, very late to take the win. I just wanted to ask, when in races is that moment where you think, yes, this is where I'm going to make the move and this is where I'm going to kick front?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In cross country, it's very different to track because in track, especially if you're doing long distances, you could leave it up to the last lap or last 200 meters. Cross country is all about making sure when you kick, you have enough energy to make it to that tape. Because if not, cross country, it's going to stab you in the back. You're going to get lactic, and someone will use that to your advantage. So the when I went into the race, I was confident I was going to win. I've been training really hard, and I did really well with the road relays. And going into that race, I just thought I would just be as comfortable as possible. And when I felt ready and when I could hear the other people breathing hard and when I knew they were in pain, I was going to go. And that wasn't until the last, home stretch where I was confident enough to go. And most people were saying to me, "Oh, why didn't you go earlier? How do you think you can outkick a 145, 800 meter guy?" That's just I just had really, really nice aerobic legs in that moment of time, and I knew that if I were to kick, I knew that my aerobic legs could hold up against, say, of Will Rabdon's legs, who was most likely under lactic. So yeah, cross country is very tactical. Most people don't realize that. But it's all about saving energy. And when you do make a move in cross country, you got to make sure that you can hold it until the line.
Yes. Very insightful answer there. I'm going to contrast that a bit to the track where you won English schools in the 3K
Mm.
last year. And that you made a move pretty late, but not as late as I'd say for the cross country. About 500 meters to go, I'd say about there. Um,
Yes.
how does making a move and how does that light bulb moment change on the track?
On the track, it's a lot more different due to how quick we're going. So, for example, if you were to win English schools nowadays, you'd probably have to run a last lap of definitely under 60 seconds, which is hard for a
Yeah.
lot of people. And the fact I closed in the 57 on that last lap at English schools last year. And it compares very differently because tactics are a lot more harder in championship style races. You will have to conserve your energy again. And when you go a lot quicker than you do in cross country. As well as that, there's not so many outside factors that really come into play on track, such as mud, hills, wind conditions, even though wind obviously can in
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we have no of those outside conditions. So the only conditions that really affect your kicking is your body and as well as that, the people around you. And to make sure that you can control those two conditions as well as possible, that determines if your kick's going to be successful or not, pretty much.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. So next up, we're going to shift it back to cross country just for a little bit. Next up, I've got your Great Britain campaigns throughout the winter this year. 2025 Euros, 2026
Yeah.
Worlds. 2025 Euros was an interesting one for you. Unfortunate circumstances. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, no, that was very annoying because the thing is, I was in such good shape, and when something like that happens, um, you can't even control it really. So what
Yeah.
happened was, I started the race fairly strong. I was around 20th position, on a very windy course, and as I pushed and shoved up to the front, someone stepped on the back of my heel, and my shoe was sorry for notification sound. My shoe just came off straight away. And it was a very bad thing to happen. The reason due was because it wasn't even a cross country surface. It was literally gravel mixed with like sand. So my foot was literally getting torn up and shredded. And the annoying thing was I didn't even have like enough adrenaline to like not feel it. I could feel like my bare like skin like up against the ground, just shredding against the all of the little pebbles and stuff on the floor, and yeah, it really hurt. But yeah, I guess I knew like if I were to give up and drop out, I would have like never forgave myself. The reason being, the year before I won Liverpool. I did Liverpool the year before that, and I actually dropped out of that race. That was the only race I've ever dropped out of. And I promised myself I'd never drop out of a race ever again. So even now when I have bad races, I will never drop out. So yeah, I just kept on pushing, and somehow, even though with one shoe on, I had good enough endurance to come in that top 20 position, and still gave a good kick for home, and that secured GB with silver medal at the Euros, which was an amazing achievement for Great Britain and my fellow teammates as well. Worlds was a lot better for sure. I mean, coming 20th at World Cross Country in a heavily predominant, uh, East African sport is insane because last time I checked, top 15 of the positions or top 10 were all East Africans, and that's just insanely dominated. So to come 10th, I think I was the seventh Caucasian, fourth European, and first Brit. That is very, very achievable. I mean, that's probably my greatest achievement to this day. I just used the fuel from Euros into my training. I was training like a madman pretty much. And I knew even before the gun was started that I was going to do extremely well. I felt insanely fit, and yeah, it just showed really well. I mean, it was a great race, and I don't think I could change much about it. It was a great atmosphere. It was amazing as well. 7,000 spectators on that course. The course was very suited to me, just flat and quick, which is what I like. And yeah, just got the job done and got the highest placement for the World Cross Country and out of anyone else on the British team, which is a very nice achievement as well.
Yeah. As I say, in Tallahassee, I'm pretty sure, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, at the time, it was very warm, especially for an early
Yeah,
2026. I believe it was January or February race. How
yeah.
obviously you had Lagoa to somewhat prepare for it, but how do you accustom yourself to being in very, very cold Britain
Mhm.
in 1 week to I'm at the other end of the world and I've got a race in summer temperatures the next?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. It's funny you mentioned it because I was actually brought up in Hong Kong for 14 years of my life, and Hong Kong is an extremely hot and humid place. It's pretty close to the equator line. So yeah, I mean, I was literally brought up in 35-degree weather almost every day. And yeah, I mean, when I first came over to England when I was in year nine, and I started my running in year nine, if it was a hot day, I would win no matter what. And it's still like this to this day. I love running in the heat. English schools champs was in the heat, and I won it. So yeah, coming into Tallahassee with the heat, I knew like it would be a blessing in disguise. Obviously, I'm not Superman. Like if it's really hot, I'm gonna be hurting, but I
Yeah,
would hurt a lot less than other people would. And it was polar opposites to be fair, because the literal last session I had before Worlds, I was on a cinder track and it was literally frozen. Like the cinder was frozen. I was slipping. It was snowing literally 2 days before I went out. It was absolute freezing. And then literally just like got off the plane in like humid Florida in the weather I love so much, and I did amazing, partly because of that, the weather. But yeah, I mean, if it comes to the heat, I'm a lot more prepared than anyone else would be, and that's just a fact from how I was brought up.
wow. Well, didn't know quite a few of those things. So you've enlightened me. Um, but yeah, moving on back to track season. I know this is going very fast, but moving back to track season. Last year, I'll give a bit of a rundown. You obviously, as we've mentioned, won English schools and
Mm.
went to Tampere for under 20 Europeans and competed there in the 5K, I believe. So
Yeah.
it's just another question of what would the differences be between running in England in somewhere like English schools in a more familiar environment to me and to other people that may be watching, and running in well, in the case of Tallahassee, a different continent, but in the case of Tampere, a different country and just a different environment altogether.
Yeah, well, the first thing is that most people, it's just sad like reality of sport. Most people won't be able to reach the level where they get to compete for their country. Um, and that's just a fact, end of. So if you do get selected to run for your country, you have a lot of pressure because obviously you know that you're very lucky and you know that you're among one of the best. That's why they've picked you in the first place. So you obviously have pressure on you. And that's where I think, if you're new to that type of situation, it can be very bad to have a lot of pressure on you. Because pressure in a very high level competition such as Euros or World Championships, that can be the difference between you running, you know, making the final or getting dropped out of heats. And that's pretty much due to handling nerves. So I think the biggest difference is the level of competition, obviously, and also the different amount of nerves that you're going to have to handle. And I think that's probably the most important thing that you have to be prepared to prepare. When you go into a high level competition, you need to learn how to control your nerves. I've said this to a lot of people a lot of different times. For me, for example, when I went to Tallahassee, my fellow teammates were just chilling in bed pretty much all day. And it can be very relaxing, sure, but if I were to do that, I would just end up just thinking about the race too much. I'd overhype myself too early and waste energy, and I wouldn't do well in the race. So what I did instead was I went down to the pool, literally the day before my race. I went on a long walk to the middle of Tallahassee, and yeah, I just had fun. I explored what was around me. It was a new setting, new environment, and handling nerves is very different for everyone. They all have their own tactics, but for me, how I do it is I would just distract myself but when the time is right, I would really, really dial in. I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest difference when it comes to an English schools race compared to say, European Championship final.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, moving on again to this season, because obviously before we've now up to now talked about last year's cross country and last year's track.
Yeah.
Moving on to this season, you've gone out and raced in America, Brian Clay Invitational, where you've hit that sub 14, where again showing your aerobic base and your ability to just take fast races on very well in what I presume is hot in California.
Yes.
So yeah, just what was that experience like in general?
Yeah, it was mixed feelings because I was probably the most fit I've ever been in my life leading up to that race. If I'm being honest, that 13:58, which is what I ran, was quite a bad time for me, even though it sounds really good. I thought I could hit 13:40, maybe even under on a good day. That's just how fit I was in the moment. It didn't really go to plan. Reason being is I actually got cut by a really bit of rusty nail, annoyingly, and had to get a tetanus shot literally 2 days before my race. So, and that actually does tamper with your performance quite a lot. So it was a very good experience. It was my first time running against people in the NCAAs, which is what I'm going to be doing next year. But as well as that, I got a new PB, ran under 14, and that now allows me to get into a lot higher standard competitions, which is very, very good. So yeah, it was definitely mixed feelings. I thought I could have done better. I went there to do better and just got unlucky in a moment and still gave it my all regardless. So yeah.
And just to clarify a point you made earlier, you are planning on going to America, correct?
Yeah, I'm going there for my university. Yep.
Have you got a uni that you've committed to?
I haven't like verbally committed or anything. Or well, I have kind of verbally committed, but no signing or anything. I've like kind of verbally committed to NAU. Uh, it was between them and UNC, and UNC had really bad communication with me, and their assistant coach has left, and NAU's just been amazing from the start. They've been really, community. Their communication was amazing. I went there for a visit, absolutely loved it. They're at altitude, and I did a session there, I almost died because there was no air. But yeah, I just think it's the place for me to go from the level where I'm at now to just being one of the best in the world. And I think they nurture success, and if you have success to unlock, they're going to unlock it for you.
Okay. And just one final question. I know this has been a pretty short interview, I believe, but
Okay.
just one final question. Um, just building on that, do you have any almost goals that you'd want to be fun with sharing to people for your future? It could be near future, it could be long,
Hmm.
big picture future, just anything in general.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me that question 3 months ago, I would have gone off on and on and on. But I've literally just come back from an injury, a slight injury. I had perennial tendonitis, and that knocked me out for a good month. But I'm back now, fully fit. I think the plans for this season aren't as big as I wanted them to be. I still am most likely, hopefully, going to go to World Championships. I have trials this weekend, so we'll see what I do there. But I'm feeling very, very ready. So that's the first main goal. I'm also doing a 1500 pretty soon.
Oh
I would
wow.
like to under, yeah, I'd like to run under 344, 343 maybe. I'm in insanely good speed shape. But because it's now kind of the end of the season, all the goals that I did have at the start of the season, there's no time for them anymore. So now, like, my only goal is I got to get my hat trick at English schools. Obviously, that's a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all goes to World Championships. I want to do my best there. I believe that if I make it, I will do extremely well there. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to represent my country. Next season though, when it's my last year in the UK before I head off to America, and it's my last year as an under 20, I'm going to attempt to get two of the British records, which is for the 3K and the 5K. I believe I can do it. It'll be very, very hard for the 5K and the 3K. The times are insane, but if I continue to the progression I am now, I don't have any doubt in myself. As well as that, there's Europeans, so under 20s. Um, I, I I don't really know what I'm gonna do there, but I do think as well as this, if I continue, I think I can maybe get a medal, hopefully, because I'll be the oldest in the race, and I think I should be one to really contend with. So yeah, those are my goals for this season, next season, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to be the best athlete I can and not get injured again, and yeah, just progress as much as I possibly can.
And if you do hit that time in the 1500, would you ever consider it seriously?
That's a good question. I really like now that the more I look back on my season, the more I realize I shouldn't have done the 5Ks, or at least I should, because I'm literally doing sessions where it's like 6 times 400s. I'm averaging or 3 minutes, and I'm averaging 55 seconds. Like that's how much good like speed shape I'm in right now. I think what will most likely happen is I'm gonna do a 1500. I'm gonna run an insanely quick time, and then I'm gonna be a bit upset I didn't do it sooner. So I think if I do run a really quick one in a month's time, I will do a lot more 1500s next season. That's why I think will happen.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
Thank you very much for this interview. I'm just going to sign out. I've been Deacon Maynard. Who have you been?
Michael Clark.
And thank you for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you next time.